Welcome to the Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees meeting on Monday, March the 23rd. If you'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. I hope you're hanging in there with this change in weather we're having every day. It seems like something new's on the horizon for us. But item number one, we'll open up to public comment. If you're here to comment on anything on the agenda tonight, please come up to the podium and introduce yourself and your address, and we'll give you, if you could stay to 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it.
Why do I need to introduce myself?
It's Jim Tassel.
Yeah, Jim Tassel at
Yes,
268 Marlboro Drive. Hi, Neil. I'm here to talk about 369 Marlboro. It's a neighbor of ours. The home has been empty for 10 years. They've had multiple permits been issued, as far as I know. I mean, it doesn't contain any walls. I'm looking in the windows, but you can see from the street, it's just all stud work, and that's it. Constant foreclosures from the county for unpaid taxes. He pays just to get up to date, and then he moves to the next year. An email was sent to I sent an email to Building, Planning, and Ordinance Division last week, requested a review of the property and all the permits, but that's all. I didn't hear anything from them. The neighbor at 351 Marlboro, right next door to him, he's forced to incur costs to install a privacy fence, attempting to remedy the issue of looking at the eyesore. He sent the board a note, and this is just quoting from his email: overgrown vegetation and weeds exceeding reasonable maintenance levels, yard debris, trash bags, construction materials, nails and equipment, etc., left for extended periods. Rodent activity requires pest control measures on his property. A deceased animal remaining on the neighboring property for several months without removal. Fallen branches originating from the neighboring property that caused fence damage in multiple occasions and posed risk to his home, including one incident requiring professional removal to prevent structural damage. Repeated presence of individuals assessing the vacant property, entering or lingering near his backyard area, which is safety concern for him and his 3 children. Vehicle traffic and driveway use is inconsistent with typical residential occupancy pattern, along with numerous random vehicles being left for long periods of time. I'm just asking, what can the township do? I know they're obligated to issue permits, but there's got to be some limitation to this. The entire neighborhood has been looking at this home for 10 years now. The township is under legal obligations, like I said, to issue permits. 10 years seems a bit long to us. The owner has never occupied the home since they have owned it. The home burnt down 10 years ago, and it was a ranch home, and they added a second floor to it. And the windows were odd, the front door was odd. He pulled the front door out, put a piece of plywood on, 'cause he's into construction, and then we complained about that, and he put plywood over it, and I said, no. So I'd like to have somebody look at this and let us know. I mean, this is just, it's running the neighborhood down, so appreciate it. Appreciate your time, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Deb Nash, 238 Marlboro. I agree with everything the previous person just mentioned. However, I would like to point out that the owner of 369 Marlboro owes over $3,000 in HOA dues, and again, he owes back taxes, which he is consistent with not paying every year. He waits till the 11th hour, pays the minimum, and then moves on. In my opinion, this demonstrates this owner has no interest in being part of this community, let alone the well-being of his property. These actions have created another issue for the community. Neighbors want to put up a 6-foot privacy fence so they do not have to look or deal with these violations. I feel it's time the township gets involved. We want to maintain property values. We could use support and guidance from the township at this point. Thanks.
Thank you, Deb.
Hi, my name is Patricia Taratuda. I'm at 38 Barrington. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who helped us out with our water issue last year. You guys are amazing. We are so happy that we are finally on city water. It's been fantastic. So thank you for all the time and support that you guys helped us with. But now we get to focus on stuff like derelict properties. So 369. I've lived there for 10 years. When I first moved into the neighborhood, I loved to do my walks, would see this house. I was like, oh, they're doing construction on it. How cool. Look at the interesting different, choices they're making. And then they would stop doing construction and the sticks would pile up and the garbage would pile up and the mail would pile up. And dead things were apparently also piling up according to the neighbor there. And so it was starting to get creepier and creepier. I kind of changed my route once I had kids because again, it was kind of creepy. And I would walk by, and one day I actually saw coming out of the back 2 younger guys, I want to say around 15, 16 years old, and an older gentleman just coming out of the back. There wasn't even a car parked. And I honestly, as a mom, I really should have probably just called the non-emergency line at that point because I don't know what was going on there. I was like, maybe they're getting into trouble. I don't know. And I should have called at that point. I did not. But at this point, the neighbors who live there, they've got 3 young girls, and quite frankly, this is just completely unacceptable for Bloomfield. We've got higher expectations, we've got higher standards. I should hope we should have higher standards. So anything you guys can do to help us out with this issue, we would greatly appreciate it. So again, thank you so much for all your work you guys do.
Okay, thank you. If there's no more public comment, I'll close public comment. And thank you, Jim. I'll get with our ordinance officers tomorrow morning and have them go take a look at it and get back to us, okay? Yeah, thank you. All right, item number 2, consider the consent agenda.
I'd like to remove the meeting minutes and
The meeting minutes from which ones, Mark?
the study session.
Study session B?
And B and
Okay.
C.
B and C, okay? So we'll make that 7A and B, okay? For
No,
study.
I think you want to do it after the public hearing?
There's an 8 on the back.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yep, thank you. 8, we'll call it A and B for Mark, okay? Okay, any other changes?
Yes, I'd like to hold item D.
Item D, okay, so we'll have B, C, and D at 8, A, B, and C, okay?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the remaining items.
Support.
So Val made a motion to approve the minutes, and was that Chris, did you say support?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chris is support, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0, okay, thank you. All right, item number 3, Police Department introduction, oath of office presented by our Chief of Police, James Gallagher. Welcome, Chief.
Good afternoon, or evening now. I'm still on vacation time, sorry. I'm gonna stand at this mic for this part of it. Tonight, we're here, as I've been here many times already, talking about the youth of our organization and the ability that we've had now to, because we're only 4 officers down now instead of 14, that we're able to move the department into a different direction and further our promotions and enhance our guys' careers. So tonight, we get to do 5 promotions. First, we're gonna start off with Joe Lonnie. So if you guys recognize Joe, come stand right over here, Joe. They want to see who you are. Joe is still just coming out of our Troy Special Investigations Unit. He's training Officer Rob Ronk there, so he's cleaned up a little bit, so you may recognize him, you may not. But Joe is a graduate of Ferris State University and began his career in law enforcement with us in March of 2005. He spent many years in the patrol division where he was an ID tech, a mountain bike officer, and a member of our traffic bureau as a traffic investigator for several years. He has spent the last 4 years assigned to the Troy Special Investigation Unit, where he has excelled. I've taken many phone calls from Troy's command staff. That obviously that's where their office is out of. I would say Joe's the assistant crew leader on that team, unofficially. They don't necessarily have one, but he's done a remarkable job. And for somebody who trained him when he started, the amount of growth that you experience in one of those positions is really, it's something you only realize once you're in a unit like that. They've been instrumental in the recovery of multiple stolen vehicles, and I would say, do you have a count at all? Hundreds of stolen vehicles throughout Metro Detroit and multi-states. They've arrested multiple suspects on home invasion charges, and they have assisted our detective bureau with multiple cases that have led to arrests. Joe has received two department unit commendations, and in 2024 was a recipient of the Chief's Merit Award for his time in the undercover unit, which I think we've discussed multiple times on the number of stolen cars we had in that time. Joe's promotion to sergeant will take effect on March 28th, and he will be assigned to the detective sergeant position where he can continue working his undercover cases and pass his knowledge along to our detectives back there who's already worked there. Joe is married to his wife Megan, who is here, and they have 3 children. And Joe, I'll let you do the introductions after you do your oath.
You guys will do the oath next. Thank you.
You can have that.
Thank you, Chuck.
I, Joseph Monty,
I, Joseph Monty,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and I will support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I will support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
as sergeant
as sergeant
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this one's for you.
Now for your speech, Joe. No, you can introduce your family real quick.
Thanks for this opportunity. I couldn't do it without my family who's here with me tonight. My wife, Megan, my daughter, Reese. You guys can stand up. Go ahead, stand up. My son, Max, my son, Dylan, and my parents are here tonight, too. My dad, Charlie, and my mom, Colleen.
Wonderful.
Sergeant Newsom, come on up. He's already got them fancy stripes on his sleeves. Tim's working tonight, so, and I'm sure his family's probably stuck in a lot of snow up north. Tim is a graduate of Lake Superior State University, and he began his law enforcement career with us in November of 2005. He spent many years in the patrol division, where he is an FTO, an ID tech. He's one of our drone operators, and he's a CPR and AED instructor. Tim has spent 3 years, he spent 3 years assigned to the Troy and Special Investigations Unit, where he also excelled. He learned valuable investigative skills that he was able to bring back and teach our new patrol officers. He has received a Department Unit Commendation Award, a Life Saving Award, and was the 2018 Officer of the Year. Tim's promotion will take effect this weekend as well on March 28th, and he'll be assigned to the Knights platoon. He lives in Waterford, and if you ever watched or followed Tim, you'll know his dogs are his kids, and they go everywhere with him. So we're excited for Tim. He's worked very hard at this. Again, we always look for those informal leaders before they're being promoted, and Tim is one of them. So congratulations, Tim.
I, Timothy Newsom,
I, Timothy Newsom,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and I will support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I will support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
as sergeant
as sergeant
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police
to the
Department
best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Nick, come on up. The next 3 individuals just completed our lieutenant process in the last couple weeks. That process consisted of having to write a letter of interest, which they would probably tell you it's more than a letter. It had to be no more than 5 pages. Talking about leadership philosophy. They then went through an outside oral board, and then an internal oral board, and a department evaluation. So, and his daughters are very excited to be here doing this tonight. She could probably do this better than I could. Nick is a graduate of Grand Valley State University, and that is also where he began his law enforcement career. After 2 years at Grand Valley, Nick hired on with Bloomfield Township in 2015. Nick has been responsible for a number of roles in our department. He obviously began his career with everybody else in the patrol division, and then moved to the community resource position where he excelled. everybody that's been in our community resource position has made it something of their own and developed it into something different. Nick went in at a different time. He went in at the beginning of COVID. And off record, you guys can ask Nick what his job was under Phil Langmeyer at that time, but you can talk about the type of prescriptions and things that he was delivering during that time. But that was really kind of a changeover of the guard kind of in that role and responsibilities within the township. He became much more involved with obviously our administration at the time, and then also in our public information officer. He's been involved in numerous community outreach, helped develop the Youth Academy, the president of our Benevolent Association for many years. He's also part of the the community policing of Michigan, I'll call it. I don't know the actual name of it, where he's one of the board members on that now. He's an FTO, a background investigator, and was promoted to the rank of sergeant in January of 2025. Again, since then, he went back to the road for a short period of time before being pulled back into that role when Heather went out for a little while. Nick was Officer of the Year in 2021 and has also earned several life-saving and meritorious commendations. Nick's promotion will take effect this week into lieutenant, and he will lead a midnight's platoon. So he'll be missed in that role as community relations with the cable studio and that, but he will still remain as one of our primary PIOs. As a matter of fact, they called me today from the Oakland County Incident Management Team and requested that Nick become involved with the Incident Management Team as one of the PIOs for the county during critical incidents on the Homeland Security side of things, which we will gladly permit. Nick is married to his wife Carly, and he has 2 young daughters. So Nick, is this sir? Congratulations.
I, Nick Soley,
I, Nick Soley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and I will support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I'll support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
as lieutenant
as lieutenant
for the Charter Township Bloomfield Police Department
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. As Chief mentioned, my wife's here with my 2 daughters, Gabriella, who's making all the noise, and Isabella, who's just wandering around. And then also my mom Mary's here, and my stepdad Tom. So, and my dad Andy is watching from Indiana on the live stream. So, hi Dad.
Sergeant Smiley, come on up. Soon to be Lieutenant Smiley. Tom is a graduate of the University of Michigan. Go Blue. In Ann Arbor, and began his law enforcement career with us in October of 2007. He spent the majority of his career in the patrol division, where he was an FTO and joined our accreditation team. Both Tom and AJ and Officer Manor just led our reaccreditation that we just got in February, and that's a tall task to really compile all the data for the last 3 years and present that to make sure we stay accredited through the state. Tom was promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2023 and remained in the patrol division. He was reassigned in April of 2025 to the administrative sergeant role, where he's excelled. It's really given us an opportunity as an administrative staff to see Tom's abilities. Some things that you just don't realize what are people's strengths until they have the opportunity to showcase them, and that's where we stand today with Tom. He has taken on new projects during his time as the administrative sergeant, including, as I said, the accreditation manager, heading up the new drone and some of our emergency management stuff, managing our new Guardian tracking software, which includes training, early warning systems, and inventory management. He's spearheaded our 10-year Axon contract, which included the purchase of new tasers and body cameras, and then also our Fusus integration, which comes with that, which kind of gives us our own real-time crime center where we can partner with the community and if they choose, provide us live feeds with their cameras and if we need them. So that's something that'll be coming down. Tom's promotion will take place this Sunday, March 28th as well, to lieutenant, but he will continue his role with us as the administrative lieutenant for the next year. Tom has received a 2018 Life Saving Award, and he already knows he's going to continue working on projects for us, and usually hear his name yelled down the hall just for some fun. He's married to his wife Cindy, and they have 3 children. After your thing, we'll have you introduce. You can have that.
So, Tom Smiley.
I, Smiley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States of America
and I'll support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and support the Constitution of the State of Michigan.
and I'll faithfully discharge my duties
I will faithfully discharge my duties
as lieutenant
as lieutenant
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. My family here is my wife Cindy, who joined before she knew I was going to be a police officer, so I don't know if she knew what she was getting in for, but my daughter Karis, son Colin, and son Cadell, and my mom, who's also a resident of Bloomfield, so thank you.
AJ, come on up. So with the approval of Supervisor McCready and Martin and Michael, we, AJ forced a hand a little bit. As we were going through the promotional process, we had 2 lieutenants openings and we had 7 sergeants budgeted for next year. And so as AJ was giving his interview, and these guys, all 5 did a phenomenal job, and it was very difficult for us sitting in a room having to discuss, you know, we're literally splitting hairs when we make these promotions. But some of the things that Sergeant Sparks or AJ said in there, there was no choice but to approach Supervisor McCready and say, we need to change one of these to a lieutenant position. For the succession planning of the agency, which Mike and I and our HR director met recently about, and just getting a vision, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, how do we develop these young officers when we have over 20 of them with less than 3 years on, 10 of them with less than a year on? AJ brings that instant credibility to a shift. So I appreciate that opportunity. I know he appreciates that opportunity, but sometimes until you sit in the room and you hear these things, you don't realize the value that every one of them brings to our agency. So Lieutenant Sparks is a graduate of Adrian College and began his career with us in June of 2002. He spent many years in our patrol division, where he is an FTO, an ID tech, a mountain bike officer, and he's also just trained in dispatch. AJ then was reassigned to the Oakland County's Violent Crimes and Gang Task Force, where he spent 3 years working in an undercover capacity. He returned to patrol and was later promoted to sergeant in 2021. Over the last 4.5 years, AJ has been a patrol sergeant, a detective sergeant, and currently the solo guy kind of running our traffic unit, and also in charge of our animal welfare division, and that's a lot of work. In 2025, AJ conducted 15 background investigations for us and was instrumental in our hiring process, which allowed us to become nearly fully staffed in years. AJ, along with Lieutenant Smiley, headed up our reaccreditation process with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. We gained that accreditation status again in February 2026, and we'll have to repeat that process again in 3 years. AJ's promotion will be effective this weekend as well, March 28th, and he'll be going to one of our night platoons as well to lead that young crew. So AJ's married to his wife Danielle, and they have 2 sons who were unable to make it tonight. But congratulations, AJ.
I, Aaron, or AJ Sparks,
I, A.J. Sparks,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and I'll support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I'll support the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I'll faithfully discharge my duties
and I'll faithfully discharge my duties
as lieutenant
as lieutenant
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
for the Charter Township of Bloomfield Police Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And just before they all go, I just want to make a quick recognition of some of the guys in the room. And I know not everybody's here today, and it's shift change at the start, but several of the guys standing in the room responded off duty at the request of us last week to Temple Israel. Sergeant Eller, Lieutenant Buchek, and many of these guys, Lieutenant Racine, were also working last Thursday night during our barricaded gunman situation. So, and I know that's only a few of the people in the room. There's many others that deserve a lot of credit that day, along with the heroic actions of the security guards in the West Bloomfield Police Department.
Yeah, Jimmy,
Our
I'll tell you,
training.
I was here, and I went down to dispatch as the situation was unfolding, and I stood back, because you gotta let people do their job, but I'll tell you, the professionalism, the intensity was something I'll never forget. And watching your team work was so impressive. And to hear the calls coming in and the concern from the residents and the way dispatch was handling it, and Captain Bazzuti was down there, AJ was down there, some other officers. I commend you all for, I know you were in a car running or gassing it to get over to West Bloomfield with some of our other officers. Thank you for your service and what you did. It was incredible to sit here and be able to watch it and observe. It's just something I'll never forget.
Yeah, and again, I wish they were all in the room, but it's a credit to them. I think, Captain Brown, I think you said we called in 8 people. Mike, maybe you can, their entire shift, I think, was called in. Elliot was one of them as well. Elliot was able to take our new UTV over there and use that instrumentally. Again, there's several others. I don't want them to go unrecognized too, but some of them are in the room today. Without hesitation, they answered their phones. They may have been waiting for that phone call, but every little thing matters in a situation like that. And while it wasn't our community, it's our brothers and sisters' community next door who we work with closely. It's obviously some of our own board members' places of worship. And so we've had a busy time in Bloomfield Township. Again, last week with the barricaded gunmen. Many of them worked, I know Sergeant Eller and Lieutenant Buchek, Lieutenant Racine, and them were all here. Nick came in. It just goes, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that people don't see, but I think it's commendable for them to be recognized for that, and the officers that were there too.
Absolutely. And then I know Trustee Antockley had a question he'd like to
Sir.
There were reports of concerns regarding smoke inhalation. Wanted to make sure all the officers were okay regarding that issue, and if you could give us an update, that would be great.
Yes, so for the initial days, the number that I had when we left, I was in the command post for the full 2 days. We had 63 officers throughout the county who were treated that we know of for smoke inhalation. Probably a couple of our guys probably should have went and got checked out, but they did not feel the need to. 6 were hospitalized overnight. All were released on that Friday. Other than the security guard, he was released that Saturday or Sunday, maybe even last Monday. He was in for a few days. Who was a retired Bloomfield Hills lieutenant that we're all very close to, and so, you know, we got lucky. I don't know if it's a miracle what happened. I go back. I'm not sure there's words for the heroic actions of those security guards and the initial responding officers from West Bloomfield who stopped a threat. Or prevented that threat from doing further harm, and there's really no words for it, to be honest with you, Mark. So thank you for your asking and the concern.
And I believe Clerk Brooke has a comment.
So I have the privilege of serving as clerk, and have been doing this now for almost approaching 6 years, and it's really quite a gift. And one of my favorite things to do is to administer oaths of office, which the privilege of doing today. You know, what I want to say is that, you know, I've gotten to know so many of the officers on the police force, and the residents of Bloomfield Township absolutely respect and appreciate the services you provide, the professionalism, the talent that's brought to bear every single day. And I'm, you know, me too, with regard to the events recently and really every day, the professionalism shines through. I can see it all the time, and clearly we have built a legacy of professionalism, I'm using that word again, that have been renowned throughout the state of Michigan for a very, very long time. And clearly with the individuals you just promoted today, you know, we're in good hands for a very much longer period of time to come. So thank you, everybody, for your service. Thank you for your commitment to the township, and congratulations.
Chief, I just wanted to also say thank you. Obviously, what happened at Temple Israel was incredible, and I was very relieved to hear that, you know, there was no innocent loss of life. But the incident, the barricaded gunman the other night, was within earshot of my home. And so my phone was going, email was going. I talked to Mike and Michael briefly. You know, we could hear, come out with your hands up, and the sirens and the lights, and the fact that that ended without any major incident, we really appreciate that too. And you know what you guys do every day, I always heard we had the best, but in the last year, for a few reasons, I've seen some really incredible and experienced personally some incredible stuff from our public safety, and Just want to thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all. Appreciate your efforts. Okay. All right, back to the chief again.
Yeah.
Item number 4, presentation and discussion of police department space needs assessment presented by our police chief. Welcome back, Jimmy.
Yes, here we go. Real quick, I just want to, I know about a year ago or so, actually probably a little longer than that, when the Supervisor McCready just came on. He came in the middle of our space needs assessment for the police department. With everything going on, everyone getting settled, I kind of wanted to re-engage us on the space needs assessment and moving forward, and hopefully encouraging the board to start making some plans on our behalf. So this is a presentation. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. A strategic path moving forward from transitioning from our space needs to an operational readiness. Why are we here? Again, to revisit the space needs assessment, to show how our current conditions have evolved, explain our operational impacts that we're seeing, and begin that discussion moving forward. And so as part of I'm going to go through my PowerPoint, and then I'm going to real quick slide over to the actual space needs analysis that was done by Redstone, just to highlight a few things within there. So we'll go through this first. First, I think it's important of the history. This building was initially created, developed and built in 1938. The best we could tell, there was an addition added in the 1960s, probably late 1960s. A second addition was added in 1998, and that is where the Sally Port and my office are, and then the captain's administrative offices is where that is. And so we are currently completely tapped out of space within our agency. As I'll show you a couple pictures in the actual report, that the roof of this building, we always wonder why there's discolored tiles, is we have a flat roof here that the water just sits on. And they actually were able to get pictures of when that occurred. We are a essential facility requirement, so that to remodel or to redo things in this building would require certain upgrades for us that I don't know if this building could hold. According to the report, there's gaps where they used the 2015 Michigan Building Code, but according to the experts, they used outdated, or there's very outdated structural things going on in this building. And then their recommendation was that, is there a chance that we could add on and add us some more space? The current roof was not designed for another floor to this building, and any vertical expansion will require a complete expensive overhaul of the columns and footings within this building that we don't even know could hold it. They've been added on to so many times. The internal efficiencies that we're running into, I'll show some pictures here in a minute that I took. Many of the walls are original. If you go through and anywhere you see in the building, typically where there's a brick wall, is what used to be an exterior wall. So that kind of gives you an idea of where the additions were put on. A lot of that brick on the exterior now, according to them, needs to be fixed or replaced as it is currently. The amount of exploratory demolition it would take for us to be able to find out if we could put an addition onto this building for the police department would almost cost us to be rebuilding the whole building. And so some of this is that the request, well, obviously the ARPA funds came through, and that's what we used to fund the space needs analysis. But at that time, we had a couple agencies reaching out to us to try to talk about consolidating dispatch services. At that time, we just could not. We could not add the councils in there. As Supervisor McCready said, he was down there last week. The amount of activity that goes on in a room like that during a major incident, here or elsewhere, they're still monitoring and helping those other agencies, whether they're here or not, whether it occurred in our own area. And so that's what really triggered this assessment. We currently have just given up operational space in our building to add, we gave up our conference room upstairs, which is now our finance director's office, just because the entire township, as we continue to build or replace, I should say, positions that were lost for years that were much needed, we just don't have the space for it. If we go to the pictures that I was able to find in your top left corner is the original Township Hall. Originally built in 1938, but that picture is dated 1957. The one on the top right, I had to ask some retirees based on the cars that are parked out front. Where you see the two cars in the lower left of that picture is where our Sally Port currently is. So we believe that picture is in the early 60s. The bottom left is an article that was done by the Historical Society, showing the original building, and then we believe that was the first edition in 1968 where they overhauled the thing. And then in 1998, you see that bottom right photo is where the Sally Port and the offices upstairs were added. We have some technological and operational gaps. We're trying to do 21st century policing in a 20th century shell. We have vital 911 vulnerabilities. If anybody's been in our penthouse upstairs, as we call it, that's where all our 911 equipment is stored. If we have something major up there, or a leak or something, we could lose our entire 911 system. It's just not built for what it is. This building also does not have it has fire alarms, but does not have sprinkler systems, which would overhaul this entire building to be able to put something like that in there. The IT staff, we're getting to a point now where there's just no more room to run wires. With dispatch the way it is, there's structural beams or cement beams that I think were fire bays back in the, I don't know how long, but that's what we've always been told. I haven't seen a picture of that, but they can't get through some of that brick anymore. They're structural brick beams that can no longer do wiring, and you'll see photos of that as well. Our fragmented operations, we're operating out of two buildings, and we're sharing all that space. Our accreditation standards now, the MCOL state mandated training standards now, we could be training every single day. Unfortunately, our training room that was dedicated to us, again, we share that now. And then we just learned more recently with our firing range, our range, the DPW, we had training down there a couple weeks ago. Supervisor McCready came down to me and said, listen, you guys gotta stop. They can't do their job up there. So he asked Captain Brown and I to go over there. We went over there and sat in Noah's office and while we were doing rifle and shotgun training, and we made our guys stop. The entire building was shaking over there. To be honest with you, I almost feel bad that it's been going on that long and not realizing it. The ladies sitting out there who were trying to do their jobs, phone calls were being interrupted because we were shooting. Unfortunately, we have to train. And to shut down our range during the day is a major problem for us. And then there's just, again, I talked about it already, there's zero flexibility. We're trying to move desks and tables in our detective bureau right now to add 2 cubicles so that we can seat our traffic officers. We just removed our conference room downstairs, made that an office, and we no longer have an interview room, soft interview room for our victims or suspects right now. So what has been done? Over the last year, we ended up having to do some remodeling. Our dispatch expansion, we needed a 4th council in there. And so we had to take down a wall, which then eliminated our supervisor's office. So dispatch has now been combined into one workspace. While it's very nice and very well kept up, I've got to give our building maintenance people and employees all the credit in the world. This building looks fantastic. They've done a heck of a job maintaining it, but we're running into problems. Our traffic unit has currently displaced, which is actually going to be back come April 1st. We've converted every conference room we have to operational use. Some patrol workspace, our evidence room, we had to convert into a dispatch locker room. The problem with that is we weren't able to dig into a bathroom or anything, so it's just literally a changing room with lockers because it would have required us digging beneath the concrete into the brick cylinder walls, which would have been, who knows what we would have opened up in order to do that. So today I went down and took some photos. What you're looking at here on the 2 left pictures is our command office right now. To the right was what our interview room is now. It's just we had to throw some desks in there temporarily while we find space for people. The 2 top photos are the men's locker rooms, and the right and the bottom is the female locker room or the women's locker rooms. The 2 on the right, the women's locker room, we moved dispatch out of there, so we have some open lockers now. But without doing that, we were unable to. We would have been moving dispatchers out of there. We already moved records out in order to hire more female officers, which we hired 2 or 3 at that time. The upper 2, these locker rooms are both over 40 years old. Steve, they've the same exact since you've been here. The locker rooms. I know Edwards when he retired said they were the same. So 1990s, we're looking at almost 40 years old. So these are eventually going to need an overhaul as well. Your top 2 left pictures are now dispatch. The first picture is I'm standing at the doorway or at the front consoles looking back. And so you can see that center beam, that's where we took down a wall. And to the right, we had to create a office for our dispatch supervisor because we displaced her when we made that. Your far 2 pictures on the right is obviously our lobby, which is extremely outdated. And then that room to the far right is where we take people and we interview them if they walk in and do a report of whatever. And I can tell you, unfortunately, there's times we're taking victims of sexual assaults into that room, and the people in the lobby can hear everything that's going on. We just have nowhere else, no other private rooms to take them at this time. So we look at the total square foot, and I know this was one of the questions and things of the space needs analysis. When it was done, Redstone came that we needed about 58 to 60,000 square feet of operational space for an agency our size. When I say that, that is complete total space. That is not just operational. That's hallway, stairwells, code things that require, which equals about 20,000 square feet. So what we're looking at now, we operate out about 22,000 square feet, and that includes our range and our lower level training room that's in a separate building. White Lake is in the process of currently building a new building. The building is going to be about 45,000 square feet. PD side of it's going to be 28,000. What's not included in there is their range that they're leaving it as a shell right now. So there will be additional space, and they only have 29 officers. Grand Blanc built a station about 2007, I think it was, 45 officers, and theirs is 41,000. Livonia currently has 55,000, and we know their bond failed not long ago. That is coming back up. There was just big articles this weekend, and the community is greatly supporting the PD side of that, as long as the administration there and their council is transparent, is what they're saying. Waterford Township built a station several years ago. It's about 59,000 square feet. Royal Oak Station is 61,000. That was just built in 2017 to 19. Northville Township, and Chris may be able to speak to this, it's a total of 65,000 square feet. It's a single story. I've not been there to see it, but I hear it's absolutely amazing. Portion of that 65,000 is fire, and I don't know, I think it's 14 or 15,000 that might be actual fire. And then Novi is looking at a 78,000 square foot building, about the same size department as we are. Part of that is also fire. So it's probably going to be close to 65,000 for the PD side itself. So why are we looking at this? We've obviously had increasing staffing levels, going back into things. We also have increased training and expectation. Our workforce has changed. Our building was built when it was a male-dominated field. That is not the case. We're interviewing just as many females as we are males. I think this last session, we actually interviewed more females than males. So those are just some things that are important on our end. We need functional zoning, separation of public and operational secure areas. Right now, we take prisoners from a secure area to an unsecured area to interview them. Our circulation's not good. We need dedicated training space, adequate locker and wellness areas, and then our technology infrastructure is just obsolete at this time. Right now, we're fragmented, we're reactive, we have shared space conflicts and limited capacity to do anything. And what the space needs analysis shows is that we need a structured, purpose-built building that's scalable for the future, for the next 50 to 70 years, where we can separate our functions. This is our current layout of our building. This was done as part of the space needs analysis. This is the first floor only, and you can see there is zero space. I mean, the top left corner, for those, Mark, I don't know how much you've gone down there, but that top left is where the planning building is, and I think there's 17 or 18, if I remember last time, employees shoved in that corner. But the rest of that is our facility that's downstairs. The only thing that we have on the upper level, which I did not do, is our administrative hallway, which I did not put in here. The proposed, when we did this, the layouts, this is a conceptual idea only. When Redstone did the plan, they looked at what can we do operationally from a PD perspective, and you can see how a modern police department or 2026 police agency and in the future works out with dedicated training rooms, dedicated defensive tactic rooms that you have mats already set up, simulator rooms where we can do actual simulations training, a dedicated sally port, different holding areas. When you go to that bottom training room, that public is an actual community room. That's when we talked about it. We talked about where can we have residents go if they were holding meetings that's not inside Township Hall, especially if something were closed. They should be in a 24/7 facility where our elected officials don't have to worry about that, and they can go right into the PD lobby, and it's an area for them off the PD lobby that's away from everything else. One of the other recommendations, which I learned when we say we share a facility with Town Hall, just one of the recommendations that was brought to us, and I think it was Treasurer Schostak, we're talking with Redstone, was the actual separation. When people come in to pay their taxes, or they're here for a police matter, they may not want to commingle those things. They may not want people to know that they're in to file a police report on something. They may have a relationship with somebody in the township. When they don't want them to know their police side of business, which I've never even thought of, but that was one thing brought up. Again, second floor, they had as a patrol operation area, and then the third floor of a building would look similar to administration or investigations and communications with a combined EOC. So that way, in an emergency like we had the other day, we could have partially activated that, and the elected officials that were here could have had a place to go and observe without feeling like you were a burden in the room, which you were not at that time. So what we're asking is more moving forward, a plan of action. We would really like to start taking this needs assessment, working with the board to try to find a path forward. Where are we going, and what are we doing? We are going to need significant upgrades downstairs in the relatively near future. I was speaking with finance director, and over the next, so many years, there's millions of dollars that need to be poured into this building and capital improvements, and some of that includes vehicles. So we weren't able to break that down right away, but there's a lot of things here that are going to need to be fixed, and obviously modernizing. Part of this is also what we talked about during our strategic planning, that we need to, our goal number 4 is investing in our infrastructure to meet current levels and future service levels. Right now, we could not, if we were asked to consolidate services with another organization, we do not have the space to do that. And those opportunities sometimes only come around one ask. So we've already passed up a dispatch opportunity, which would have been a really good take on our side. And then there's other agencies that have reached out in the past as well. So hopefully advancing this project will fulfill some of the township's commitment to modern and reliable infrastructure. Again, in our number 5, we talk about being the best in class. Again, we're really seeing now a promotional gap, a leadership gap from the years where 2008 to 2014 when we hired nobody. We had 6-7 years where we hired nobody. And so guys are always asking me, well, how are guys with 7, 8, 9 years on in your organization getting promoted to the rank of lieutenant or sergeant? That's common in a lot of agencies, but we have a gap that either everybody before that's already promoted and doing what they want to do, so this newer generation is getting promoted at a much younger age with that. So again, that and the youth we are. If there's anything I lose sleep on at night, over a third of our agency has less than 3 years on the job. There's just training that needs to be done. So this is not just a spacious, or this is about safety, efficiency, and service delivery into the future. So I'll take any questions on that. I want to switch over just for a minute. Does anybody have any questions on that portion before I just show, that PDF? On the space needs analysis. I don't want to get too deep into this. We have printed copies if anybody wants to see. Again, Trustee Antockley, I don't remember if were you here for the initial space needs when Redstone came in and talked about it?
I was in the audience.
Okay. So being part of the board, there's some things that I probably need to get you caught up on this. And part of this, I encourage you, the board members, I know many of you have, but please come in, take a tour with us, walk around, see our facilities and see what I'm talking about. I think it's going to be easier when I walk you into a facility to show you some of the things than it is. I beg you to do that so we can, I'm just going to scroll through. So one of the recommendations, they also did a space needs analysis, and I don't want to talk about Town Hall, that's not it, but they did a space needs analysis on the entire building. And based on our level of service, our operations, with what Town Hall does and us, they recommended 93,000 total square feet between the two. But piecing out the police department, they recommended about 60. And again, until we make a plan moving forward where we actually work with an architect, we may not know if that can be scaled down or that difference. But based on the current building conditions, and this is based on a structural engineer and mechanical engineers, this building cannot be reconfigured for future use for a police department. And they even recommend that as a town hall, but we'll get that's something for now. I'm here for the police department. Why don't you just go to a couple of real quick of the photos. maybe. There we go. That they took during this time. And again, these were all independently taken during their walkthrough. Again, some of these photos, we have no storage stuff, and I'm not gonna go through every photo in here, but the top two are, one's a back hallway under a stairwell. As you go down, just some of the shared spaces, the things are mechanicals. These are, some of the stuff's from the original building. There's a mechanical closet. Now, the evidence lockers have been moved because we ended up making, that wall is now where our dispatch locker room is. So those were actually taken out of there. We repurposed them, had a structure built around them, and they're attached to a wall somewhere else yet. Anywhere you see these brick beams, those are the original, used to be exterior portions of the building before all the additions. That's our only main hallway to your left. The lobby. Again, they talk about the upper level corridor and how the brick and water damage to these things. The conference room on the bottom right, again, you see the brick wall. That used to be an exterior wall. That is now Finance Director Theis' office. Really wanted to get down to some of these where you're looking at the attic space. Where you see all the wiring is all of our technology and communications wiring. It's just out. Again, you're looking at flat roofs up top, you're looking at the penthouse roof structure, and some of this stuff is probably better discussed by our DPW employees, but handwritten stuff on walls on how to take care of it.
Jimmy, it's hard to really follow sitting here to see it.
Yeah.
And you know, it might be nice if I would encourage our trustees to come in get an appointment with you.
100%.
And do a walkthrough and go through these individually.
I'd be happy to.
I'd be happy.
Yeah, I think
I
it'd
think it's
be-
easier that way too.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
but-
you.
Perfect. So I'll take any questions if we have any questions on, our request is that the board begin engaging in some kind of conversation on how we move forward on addressing these concerns. Because as of right now, I have zero space for some of our employees' workspaces.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to come in and take a tour, let me know your schedule and.
Yep, I can reach out to you as well.
Yeah.
And we did give a handout real quick that we put together of the square face footage that we have currently and what the recommendations were. That's for your leisure to look at your time.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, I do have a question. You mentioned some of the facilities have shared resources between fire and police. Are there any common areas in those shared resources? And is there any value to that to ensure that we can operate smoothly together?
Yeah, so
Especially with West Bloomfield, police was there was a fire there. You guys got to coordinate together sometimes, so how does that work?
Yeah, so we really don't share any spaces with the fire department currently. Most of our shared spaces are in our lower level where our range and stuff is. And again, you and I can connect, and I'll be more than happy to walk you around to show you some of that. We really, the only time we share a space really with fire is if we had to use their training room or their training room in their basement there. We train with them all the time, though, to answer that question. We are constantly training with our fire department. Typically, that's in the field at a building or a residence or a school, consistently doing that. But we don't have any shared spaces right now. Is there value to it? There could be. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
And just one thing, when we in Northfield Township decided that we were going to go forward with building a station, we started having a lot of our officers put together a committee of officers that would go and explore some of these other municipalities, so you can get kind of understand learning from what they've done. So there are some good things that they've spent money on, there's some bad things, there's some space they say we don't need this much space, or I wish we would have spent more here. So I would implore you, depending on how we go forward, and if this is something we're gonna invest as a township, that you would put together a committee that would do that, so you guys can then sharpen your pencil on areas that really matter, because this is gonna be an investment that hopefully is a 50 or 100-year building, so we don't have to add on to, right? So you really wanna be able to, not just take what the architect says, you wanna be able to see with your own eyes, and what your personnel needs.
Yeah, and I would encourage, when we do that's correct. One thing I don't like is that if I have all the knowledge, who 15 years down the road can answer why, right? Like that's just not okay to me. And we see that all the time now. I actually asked Steve to be here because he was here for, for part of the renovations that already occurred before, because we don't have anybody here anymore who did those. So there would absolutely be a committee, and I'm talking about some of the youngest officers. That's how you retain people, is to include them in things of this nature. And this is they have these conversations is the future of our people and the retention and recruiting. I'm recruiting against White Lake. I'm recruiting against you guys, Northville Township and Royal Oak, who have beautiful brand buildings that, listen, we all pay about the same. Where am I going? I can go here and have all these facilities. So it's truly becoming a recruitment issue at agencies.
Okay. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 5, consider authorization for issuance of a general obligation unlimited tax refunding bond, Series 2026, presented by our treasurer, Michael Schostak.
Yes, thank you. 20 years ago, roughly, in 2007, the township issued bonds to fund renovations, or new construction. It funded the new DPW building, it funded the new senior center, and a lot of renovations to Central Fire. And that was a $26 million bond. And that went to a vote, and the residents approved it, and it's a 25-year bond. In 2016, the township refinanced those bonds. In bond terminology, it's called refunding, but it's essentially the same thing, refinancing, just like somebody would refinance their mortgage. And so we refinanced those bonds to a lower interest rate. So now that it's been 10 years, typically these bonds have a 10-year no-call period, which means that you can't buy them back in the first 10 years. So now it's been 10 years since the 2016 refunding. So I looked at it again and I saw, you know what, we could once again refinance or refund those bonds at a lower interest rate, and that would save money for our residents. Now, the thing about these bonds versus, let's say, the special assessment bonds is that because this was a voted millage, there is a specific millage on our tax bill that funds these bonds. So by refinancing those bonds and bringing down the cost of the debt service, it will actually translate into a lower millage rate directly on next year's taxes and for the next 6 years, as long as these bonds are out. Now, unlike when you refinance a mortgage, by law, we are not allowed to extend the repayment period. So there's 6 years left on these bonds. They'll be fully paid off in 2032. So we only can do a 6-year bond deal, so that it'll still be repaid by 2032. And there's currently about $9 million in outstanding bonds. And so by refinancing those bonds today, based on where rates sit, we've estimated that it would save about $675,000 over the 6 years, so a little over $100,000 a year. And that will, as I said, directly translate to a lower millage rate for the residents, for the taxpayers. And so the cost of doing this deal is included in that. So the savings of $675,000 is net of any costs. So essentially, it costs us nothing. I should clarify that the township sees no money out of the deal. It's simply a refinancing, bond for bond, and at a lower rate, so the debt service is lower, so the millage is lower. Otherwise, nothing else changes. It's still due in 2032, and the township doesn't get any money. So what I'm asking for tonight is to approve the resolution to authorize me to issue no more than $9.5 million of unlimited tax general obligation bonds, which would refund the 2016 bonds. I would do this deal probably in May. I'm going to watch interest rates very closely. If we need to pull the trigger earlier, we can do that. But once we get the authorization tonight, we have to go through our standard bond process. We have to get a rating. We have to, go through due diligence. So there's things that we have to do to get it ready to market. So we'd probably be ready to market it as early as May. But it doesn't have to be May. So if rates are not where we like, we can wait a month. And if rates were to increase to the point that this was no longer a good deal, I would cancel the transaction and come back to the board and notify you. So this is purely an elective process, and we're under no time constraint. We could do it any time after, I believe, April is the call date. So, so anytime after that, we can refund these bonds. So again, I'm asking for approval on the resolution that was in your packet to issue no more than $9.5 million in bonds. Again, the amount in bonds will depend on where the interest rates are. If we were to do the deal today, we would actually only need to issue about $8.5 million in bonds. But I'm asking for authorization to go up to 9.5 just in case rates move a little bit. But the goal would be to sell as few bonds as possible to refinance those existing bonds. So,
I would like to make a motion.
well, can I open it up for questions first?
Yeah, sure.
Anybody have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I recall the last time we did the refund or the refinancing of it. And it's a great idea, Michael. I'm glad that you're doing your due diligence and keeping us informed and certainly saving the taxpayers' money. So thank you for bringing it to the board.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. It sounds like a win-win, so all for it.
Yeah, again, it's great when we can actually impact our millage rates. So this is something that we can do that's no cost to us and has a material impact to our residents. So great job.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mark,
I'd like to make a motion to
okay,
approve the
motion by
resolution.
trustee Antocoli,
Support.
support by trustee Murray. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0.
Thank
Great.
you very much.
Thank you. All right, item number 6, our truth and taxation discussion presented by Township Assessor Darrin Kraatz. Darrin?
Good evening, everybody. I'm a little surprised the room's not a little bit more packed for this presentation, this public hearing, but I guess we'll give it a shot anyway. So I kind of redid the truth and taxation part of it, because it seems to me that over the years that things have gotten a little confusing. Some of the trustees, don't work with this, or they don't kind of understand what the truth and taxation is all about. So I kind of came up with a new presentation this year, which is about a minute long instead of 30 seconds. So in Michigan, truth and taxation is part of Public Act 5 of 1982. Basically what it says is the Michigan truth and taxation is designed to prevent hidden tax increases that occur when values increase in a community. Instead of automatically allowing the local governments to collect more tax revenue from higher property values, the law requires transparency and public input. So that's what we're doing now with the truth and taxation hearing. The bottom line is the law doesn't cap taxes. It ensures that any tax increase in tax revenue from existing properties is deliberately, transparently approved in a public forum. So basically what we're here doing tonight is I'm here letting you know we're going to collect more tax revenue this year than we did last year. And that's the other part of Proposal A, or excuse me, the Truth and Taxation hearing. There were a few spreadsheets that were provided to you in your packet. If you have any questions about those, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions that you may have. But additionally, one of the other issues that came up kind of last year at the Truth and Taxation hearing is that last year I didn't provide a 4029 to you guys, which is our millage reduction, our millage worksheet. It tells everybody what line item and what millage we're going to levy on our taxes. The reason I didn't do that last year was because currently they're tentative right now. So what you have in your spreadsheet are tentative millage rates. They're based on our best guesstimate of what the millage reduction fraction will be when we get it from the county in April. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back probably early September, just before we levy our winter millages. That way you guys have the opportunity to approve the 4029. You'll actually be approving the actual millage rates. So to do it now is a little premature because they're not going to be exactly what they'll be in September. So.
All right, thank you, Darrin. So we'll open up a public hearing, and if anybody's here to speak upon the truth and taxation, please come up forward.
There's only one person.
Okay, so we'll close public hearing and turn it back over to Darrin and the board for trustees for questions.
So I have a question, Darrin. So You mentioned tax increases.
Correct. Taxable value increase, yep.
Right, so I just want, I'd like you to clarify for everyone watching that our millage rates are going down.
Correct. The millage rates will be.
All of our millage rates are going down. The
Correct.
rate that we are taxing is going down.
Correct.
But the reason that we will collect more in taxes is because
Our taxable value's gone up.
our taxable value's gone up because property values are increasing,
Correct, yep,
which is out of our control.
correct.
But the tax rate, the tax rates themselves, the millage rates.
Yeah, the millage, and
Are coming down.
you'll see that, because I think maybe this year, now that you've brought that to light, maybe this year I'll include 25s, just as a point of reference. 25s, 2025's 4029, and then 2026 is 4029. So you can see where we were at last year and where we're at for 26 for each individual millage.
And I would also add, if you're looking in your packet on page 124, which is the estimated 4029, you'll see a millage there called capital improvement. That's the bonds I was just talking about. So last year, we levied 0.3242 on that debt service. If we were to use the current debt service for 2026, we would be levying 0.3098. If we do this deal and bring the cost down, that will be lower than that 0.3098.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Darrin? Mark?
Yes, what was the allowable increase by the state?
The consumer price index, 2 point.
I thought they put out a letter from the state of Michigan, what's the allowable increase on taxable
The
value?
CPI is 2.7%.
Okay.
They do that, when is it, October, November timeframe. So they calculate out whatever the CPI is gonna be for that individual year, and then they send us a bulletin, and that's how we use that's how we figure out what the CPI is gonna be.
Okay. And the next question I have is, were there a significant number of properties that dropped in tax rate?
Properties that went down?
Down?
No, no, but there were some.
Okay.
For sure. Every year, every single year when we're going through and doing the values, every year there's areas or neighborhoods that go down. More often than not, the neighborhoods are going up in value, but there are specific neighborhoods that go down for sure. Yep. I like to say, we don't mess around. If they show they need to go down, they go down. We don't just artificially keep them, inflate them, just because, we follow the numbers. And if the numbers say they need to go down, they go down, so.
It could also go down if somebody tears down a house.
Correct.
And
Yep, there's a lot of
and it
reasons
goes from
for sure.
A house to a
Yep.
land, that would reduce it.
And how are the calculations done in general when you look at a specific area or neighborhood?
As far as the increase or decrease of the values?
Yes.
We take the sales in the neighborhood and we compare them to the last year, or 25's assessments, and then it gives us a ratio. And if we're over 50% in a neighborhood, that means we have to drop them a bit. If we're under, which we are in most of ours, we have to increase the neighborhood a bit.
Okay.
So there is a calculation for it and a science behind it, so.
Okay, fantastic, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you, Darrin.
You're welcome.
All right, item number 7, consider approval of amendment number 2 to the fiscal year budget 2026 presented by our finance director, Jason Theis. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks. Whatever, either one. So there was a memo in your packet for our second budget amendment, the last one of this fiscal year, since this is our last chance to do it, our last meeting. Proposing to add $1 million in revenue to the fiscal 26 budget as an amendment. And then on the other side, $1 million into the transfers out activity of the general fund. So netting zero effect, and the purpose is just to give the most flexibility as possible as we wrap up the fiscal year and maximize any surplus we have to other areas rather than let them close into a fund balance. So, and we do this every year, so That's all I have on that topic for you.
Okay, any questions for Jason?
I'd like to make a motion that we
I do have a question. It says proposed budget amendment to add 1 million. What was the source of the funds that generated that additional $1 million in investment?
The majority of that was our estimate on the investment earnings.
So who provided the cash? Which fund provided the cash to generate those earnings?
That would be, if it's investment earnings, that'd be general fund.
So you did not invest any water and sewer funds?
I guess I don't see the link between the two topics there.
Well, you're saying that you want to increase the investments from the general fund, and I'm asking if any money from water and sewer was invested.
No, I'm not asking that. What we're doing is trying to project where we think net investment income plus the change in value from mark to market will be on March 31st, which both are revenue items. So we're thinking those are gonna come in higher than budget, which now you have some room to add to your revenue budget. And then on the bottom side, because you have more revenue to work with, you can add more to your expenses, so the transfers out.
Yeah, that I do understand, and I'm asking who provided the resources to generate the income? Because under the General Accounting Standards Board, whoever provides the investment, that the principal, it receives that investment income. And that's under GASB 34 and GASB 31. And that's why I'm asking who provided those resources that generate that income. Water and sewer is restricted. So was any water and sewer money invested, and how much of that is for water and sewer?
I'm not here to talk about the water and sewer fund. What I'm talking about is the general fund. General fund has the investment income. General fund is the budget that I'm asking to amend.
The general fund does not have the investment income. Under GASB, the investment income belongs to the fund that provided the resources. And that's a pooled investment
Okay.
requirement.
All right, thank
I
you.
would like to make a
Thank you,
motion that we
Jason.
approve as submitted. Thank you, Jason.
Okay.
Support.
A move by, motion by
Kalinsky.
Kalinsky, trustee Kalinsky.
Support.
Support by trustee Neil Barnett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
Okay, passes 6-1. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, we'll move to item 8, consider approval of budget for fiscal year ending March 31st, presented by Finance Director Jason Theis. Welcome back, Jason.
Thanks. So hopefully you all took a peek at the updated digital budget book. We went to this a few years ago through a provider, ClearGov. And about a year ago, they revamped it, so I had to go in and make some updates to take advantage of those new features. And so I don't know if you recall the old one, but the menu was across at the top and kind of hard to navigate, and they were drop down. So they moved all that off to the side, as you can see here. And then you can either scroll through and find just the sections you're looking for, or this feature here is more like you're reading a book, so you can just arrow through and go through page by page by page. Has the same features before, where you can download this as a PDF if you'd rather look at it that way. But it's a lot of information here. I added a lot more visuals and graphics, and I encourage you, if you haven't spent much time looking at that, to kind of go through and if you ever see anything on there that you want to know more about or question, feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, so I'll open it up to public hearing, and if you're here to speak upon the topic number 8, the budget fiscal year with the new slides, now's your chance, and I'll look like no one's going to come up, so I'll close public hearing and open up for questions from the trustees. Any questions?
No, Jason and I had an email conversation back and forth, because I really appreciated the budget book.
Oh,
I found
that's
it
good.
was really detailed and it flowed well. So I just had a question or two for him, which we talked about, and then complimented the budget book. So thank you.
Welcome.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve.
I do have a question.
I want to first thank Martin for responding to a request that I had. And Martin cited that the investment income can go to the general fund, and he called out MCL 4177. I looked into those details, and MCL 4177 was passed in the 1840s, and it only says where the money's deposited. It doesn't identify who owns the funds. So that's number one. And number two, the GASB disclosures require pooled investments to follow the principal. You generate those investment incomes, the pooled investments, and it should follow where the resources came from. That's not part of the budget, and I think the way the budget is done is inappropriate. And that is how I feel about that.
Okay.
I don't think that will change, but I do believe I need to highlight it. The next thing is the OPEB payments. On the township website, it was also states that the township contributes $1.25 million in excess of benefit payments. So there's no requirement for fully funded sub-accounts to pay any benefits. It's a contribution that's required. I believe that the fully funded cable studio fund should not be paying in. And for also for the building inspection, that's a fee-based fund. It should not be paying in. It's also fully funded. And also senior services. What's interesting about senior services is they actually pay fees. And when they do pay fees, we have admission fees coming in, and they also receive no investment income. So we're charging fees, and those fees are generating investment income for the general fund. I also think that's inappropriate. The same would apply for building inspection. And I don't think that's going to change in this meeting. With over $4 million in cash coming in and only $16 million of it belonging to the general fund, that's a lot of money. That's over $3 million. And I think that it should be allocated based on the resources according to GASB.
Mark, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I will make a motion that the investment income should follow GASB 34 and GASB 31, and the pooled investments should be, the investment income for pooled investments should be allocated based on the principal, based on the fund that provided the principal.
Okay, is there support? Okay, there's no support, so the motion fails. And I believe, is there a motion, Trustee Galinsky?
Can I just respond to one thing?
Sure.
So regarding MCL 41.77, which was in fact approved in 1846, what the trustee neglects to mention is that it has been amended over 20 times, including as recently as 1997. So it's perfectly applicable and appropriate to what we're doing, and disingenuous to say otherwise. So
Can you name one other community in Oakland County that does the same thing?
that's not relevant.
It's not relevant. So let's move on and.
I don't look in the books of every other
And
community. I'm
the-
focused on what we're doing here.
Okay,
PA2
your motion failed, and we already have a motion, another motion.
Yep.
Well, I'm responding to his comment.
Well, he was
Public-
responding to your
He
comment.
was responding to
and
you.
clarifying,
But
but because you weren't
19
forthright in your description of the MCL being changed 20 times in as late as 1997 to correct it. You're going back and you're incorrect in your assessment of what you're telling us. So we'd like to move on, Mark,
And,
okay?
well, Public Act 2, which this is based on, was last modified in 2007.
Okay, well, thank you
So-
for that. Okay, Trustee
that
Galinsky,
requires
did you like to make a
fund-based
motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we approve the budget as presented.
Support
Oh,
from,
can I make just a clarification that we're approving at the activity level? Just so we're
Correct.
clear, right?
okay.
Thank you very much, Martin.
And support from Trustee Barnett. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, passes 6-1, thank you. Okay, thank you, Jason. So let's move on now to, we'll call it item 8A, which, Mark, you had asked to have the removed off the consent agenda, approved study session of the board minutes from March 9th.
Yes, I would like to amend those minutes and add that, and add into addition that no financial information was presented during the meeting.
Is there support? There's no support, so the motion fails. Can I have a motion to approve item number, what I called 8A, which is B from the study session?
Motion to approve March 9th.
Motion from trustee Murray, support from trustee Barnett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Passes 6-1. Thank you. Mark, item number, I called it 8B, which is item C from the consent agenda, approved payroll and vouchers for March 23rd, 2026.
That's a no vote for me.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Support, motion by trustee Barnett, support by trustee Galinsky. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, passes 6-1. All right, trustee Barnett, item number D from the consent agenda, as I noted as item C.
Yes, I noticed that the ZBA members, the compensation recommended is $250 per meeting, which I agree with. And the planning commission recommendation was $200 per meeting, which I do not agree with. Believe that the compensation for both boards should be the same. They have different responsibilities, but they both come with a great deal of expertise, a great deal of commitment, and I certainly believe that both boards deserve the same compensation.
Any comments or discussion?
I support it. When I saw it, I wanted to talk with our trustee who's on it, and I agree the amount of effort, hours, and as it's become more influential in our community, it is the gatekeeper of a lot of our developments and has a ton of influence on how we continue to move forward. So I think we should compensate those board members appropriately. So I would agree with them.
I guess the only issue I have is that the zoning board, when they approve or disapprove something, it carries more weight. And design review board, not to, planning commission, any of those others, we say that they approve, but it's really more superficial. And when I have watched zoning board meetings, I had a friend who used to be on the zoning board many years ago. The zoning board of appeals seems like a lot of work, like a real lot of work, and more of a burden because their decision has great impact. And I think that weighs on board members on that more heavily. I'm not on either board, so I can't speak directly.
Okay. I've been on both.
That's just my opinion.
Thank you. I've been on the zoning board for 4 or 5 years prior to being a trustee, and certainly been on the planning commission probably close to 20 years. And I can say that whether one is, I disagree with you, first of all. I think they're both very important. They both carry a great deal of weight. The planning commission, besides being the gatekeeper, really is a barrier to a lot of the issues that come before for contentious developments and present proposals, and really tries to ferret out a lot of these very difficult and controversial issues before they come to the board. And so I think that more and more they become more contentious, and I think that the board members put up with a great deal, and but always in a very professional manner. So I think they should be compensated the same. I certainly do not believe there's a $50 difference in what they do, and whether the ZBA meetings are longer or not is irrelevant. That's like saying, well, some of our meetings here are a half an hour, some are 4 hours. We get paid the same no matter what. So I think it's what you bring to the meeting and the issues and your job responsibilities that are important in these different boards. And certainly, again, I believe that the planning commission members deserve the same as the ZBA members.
Any further comment?
No?
Would you like to make a motion, Neil?
I'd like to make a motion that we keep the ZBA members and the planning commission members with the same compensation of $250 per meeting.
Support.
Support, okay, motion made by trustee Barnett, support by trustee Kalinsky. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, passes 6-1. And now we move to adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.